Write where you are going in pen and how you're going to get there in pencil. This is the Homesteading for Beginners podcast, and I'm Mona Weathers, your homesteading mentor and coach. I'm here to encourage you to pursue your homesteading dreams with the right mindset in a way that is healthy for you, your family, and your community. If you desire to establish a solid foundation for your homesteading journey, then you are in the right place. Join me as I share stories from the past 20 years of my own journey, as well as practical and actionable steps you can take to start and maintain a healthy homestead. Do you want to know how I decide what I'm going to talk about each week on this podcast? You may find it interesting, but I don't actually have these ideas pre-thought out too far in advance, and the episodes are recorded the day before they get published. Originally, I had thought I was going to do it differently and have at least a couple weeks ahead in my recordings, and then just, publish each week and stay consistently that way. But that didn't happen. So what ended up happening is that today is Thursday, I'm recording this podcast, and tomorrow it gets published. This kind of makes it really hard if I'm having a really hard day to get this published for tomorrow. But I did find out by doing this is that I actually prefer doing it this way, because I feel like I'm more in the moment, and things that are happening to me right now, I'm talking about them. And when I decide what topic to come up with is the same thing. And it's more relevant, and as well as more relevant to the people around me, to the people that I'm coaching, homesteaders, what's going on. I feel like I'm just right there in it. It just feels different to have me recording this the day before it publishes rather than having a couple of weeks in advance. Eventually, I will get to where I have at least a couple of backup episodes in case I can't, for any reason, the day before record an episode. But for right now, this is being recorded on a Thursday, the day before it gets published. So my process for coming up with these episodes usually starts on a Monday, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to talk about until about Wednesday or Thursday. And I work during the morning hours at a horse farm, and I have my earbuds in listening to other podcasts. They are actually not homesteading podcasts most of the time, or gardening podcasts. They're actually usually business podcasts and things like that. So I don't listen to, and this might be surprising, maybe not, I don't listen to a lot of homesteading podcasts. I will, and usually I like to do that on the weekends. But on the weekdays, I like to listen to business podcasts and just learn how to be a better entrepreneur, and how to use social media better, how to use email marketing better, and those sorts of things. So that's what I spend my time doing as I'm working. And then I start thinking about how I can get you to move to the next step the best way. So you've noticed maybe that I haven't really talked about yet about like what kind of animals you should have, what you should start growing first, because there's just these foundational things that I feel like need to be talked about first. So that's why I've been using these topics. And a lot of times I don't know what it's going to be until the day before I publish them. So this week I've been thinking a lot about my own timeline. And what I mean by that is like a goals timeline, and how sometimes we set these goals and we say, okay, it has to happen within this time frame, or by this year, or by, whatever the date you decide, or you have this vision in your mind, even if you haven't like written it down, that it's going to be by a certain time. I started thinking about that because I I get hung up on that a lot. And I lately have been trying to not make the timeline the focus, and instead make the steps in between to get there the focus, because I know that if I keep stepping one step at a time, I'll reach my goals. Now, I am all for, having a date idea set, but I just mean like not having that be the focus. Before I get into the topic for today, I want to talk about something that I mentioned in episode 13, which was the challenge. Now, I did come up with that challenge pretty quickly, like not thinking about too much. I knew I had this episode and I really wanted to get this out there because I feel this is a very important topic. And so the challenge has a name, and it's the Grow Income in 2023 challenge. And I have actually more details on that. So if you go to healthyhomesteading.com/email list, you'll find more details. So this Grow Your Income in 2023 is actually a Grow Your Email List challenge. And I kind of talk about that a little bit on the website, the details on why it's important to grow an email list. I've heard countless other podcasts and video and YouTube videos from business entrepreneur type coaches and business type coaches talk about how the email list is the most important thing to build. And I discovered this myself about 6 months ago when I had a reel on Instagram go viral. Now, that Instagram reel it was the only one that really went viral. I had a couple of after that went viral, but at the time I had a lead magnet, which is like a freebie of some sort. Lead magnets can be anything. They can be anything really, but my lead magnet is or that particular lead magnet was a planner, is a homesteader planner is what, I think that's the name of it. I still have it. It's still there. But I got it within a couple of weeks. I got like 200, almost 300 people on that email list. Now, there's a lot more to, the email list thing. It's not just gathering names and email addresses. There is a process to it, and there's a way you can do it that will help you to actually grow your income. So this is why I called it the Grow Income in 2023, because I think it's like the most important thing. If I were to go back to myself 25 years ago, I would tell myself, grow an email list related to the topic like homesteading, because I'm still doing homesteading stuff. I would have said, grow a homesteading email list, and things would have been very different probably for me had I done that so many years ago. But I don't want you to miss out on this opportunity. So go to the healthyhomesteading.com/email list, and you will be able to find more information on that, and you can join. It will be hosted on Instagram, and it will cost something, because the reason I made it have a cost is because I don't want you to just think another freebie and you won't be committed to it. People tend to act more if they have to pay for it. So there is a cost, but it's less than $20, which I think the last episode, I said it was around $30, but technically it is $19.99 if you stay with the 2 months of the challenge. Also, it starts on November 15th and goes until January 15th. Those are the 2 months that we will be working on this. But if you happen to hear this episode after November 15th, I would still I would still join and do whatever you can until, for how long ever it takes for you to finish the challenge. So you don't have to leave on January 15th. You can keep going and just be later than everybody else. But the idea was that this would be a live launch type challenge that we're all in there, and there's people doing the same thing as you at the same time. So go check out the website and get signed up. The link is also in the description of this podcast, or the show notes. I don't know what you're supposed to call it, but it's in there. So if you are listening and you want to, come back to this episode, you can check it out there. Okay, so back to the topic for today, which is letting go of your timeline without losing hope in your goals. I think that's the right way to say it, but you get the idea. I feel like if we just focus too much on the timeline and how long it should take, we end up stalling and stopping and losing momentum because our focus is in the wrong place. And our focus should be on each step that it takes to get to our goals. I have a friend, his name is Buddy Cummings, and his wife is Nikki Cummings, and they are business coaches. They're not my coaches, but they're my friends. And he said something, and they were being interviewed on a different podcast, so I was listening, and he said something that I loved, and I'm going to share it with you. So Buddy said, write where you are going in pen and how you're going to get there in pencil. And I just love that because I feel like I was doing the opposite for so many years, and I was writing how I'm going to get somewhere in pen and where I'm going. Actually, I think I was writing the whole thing in pen. Like, I didn't have the idea that things are going to look differently as we move forward. So by going step by step, by trying to reach your goals step by step, you're able to look down and see if the path that you are on is the correct path. Sometimes I think we get caught up in, we got to get there, but we don't look to see if the way we're getting there is the right way. So this was just such a great quote for me, and I felt like it could help you as well. So an action step for you and for myself as well might be to take this advice and write our ultimate goals in pen. Just set one goal, write it in pen, and then think about the steps that you think that it will take to get there, but put it in pencil, because chances are those steps are going to change, and the timeline is going to expand or contract based on how long those steps in between take. My encouragement to you today is to just kind of let go of that timeline. If your desire is to have a homestead with property in 5 years, within 5 years, or within 2 years, or within 6 months, maybe just let go of that little timeline a little bit and just think about what are the steps that it needs to take to get there, and break those down and start working on those. And remember, they're in pencil, so the steps that you think might take to get to your goals might actually have to be erased and rewritten. I hope this episode was encouraging to you and helpful to you. Please remember to rate me on Apple Podcasts. If you're enjoying this episode, I would love a 5-star review. And don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, anybody who you think might benefit from learning some of the not so talked about topics in homesteading. May enjoy this podcast. So I encourage you to share. You can screen record or screenshot the episode and share it in your stories, which I had someone do that twice recently, and it really felt good to have someone feel like they valued enough what I was sharing to share it on Instagram, or share it with their friends. So I hope you do that, and just don't forget to tag me. If you don't already follow me, my Instagram handle is @farmer_Mona. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will be here next week. If you are enjoying this podcast, I would really appreciate it if you would take a minute to subscribe or follow. By doing this, you will be helping the podcast to be seen by more people, and I do love reading nice reviews too. Don't forget to visit healthyhomesteading.com for more information on how I can serve you. Until next week, I want you to keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep planning for your homesteading success.